My speech today, as I have a memory like a geriatric goldfish. I was told the budget had been stretched to capacity and any extras would have to be paid for by myself. I suddenly realised this piece of paper is good enough. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David, Michelle's dad, and on behalf of my wife Jane and I would like to welcome you all here today to celebrate the marriage of our daughter Michelle to Stephen. I would also like to welcome Stephen's parents, Ellen and Alan.
Know us by now, Dave.
His sister Jennifer, as our relatives and friends. I know a lot of you have travelled considerable distances to be here. Thank you all for coming to see me, it's very much appreciated. When I first heard about Michelle and Stephen getting married, I literally shit myself. I thought I'd have to remortgage the house and even sell my wife. Luckily I could sit back, carry on watching football and listen to everything fall into place. Michelle and Stephen have done absolutely everything, and what a wonderful wedding we have had. Thank you. This is the point where I'm supposed to say a few embarrassing things about Michelle when she was younger, but unfortunately she has been a perfect daughter. Michelle, you have spelled perfect wrong. Anyway, she has more ammunition against me than I have about her, so I've called a truce. I would like to say that Jane and I are both very proud of how she looks today, and she has grown up, and are both delighted that she has found someone who she obviously loves and cares for very much. I clearly remember my own wedding day being one of the proudest days of my life. I also clearly remember the 22nd of December 1982. I was just sitting down with a few beers to watch Nottingham Forest against Manchester United when I got a phone call from the hospital to say Jane had gone into labour. Luckily the game didn't go into extra time. When I arrived, I was under the £7 baby girl. It was my first daughter. She was my first princess in my own royal family. Right. It was a fantastic, memorable day because I had Forest in the sweepstake. Every father hopes his daughter will find a reliable, sensible and considerate partner. And as much as you try not to interfere in their lives, you always hope your children will make the right choices in life. Michelle chose Stephen. Stephen, there is no challenge in a marriage that you can't overcome by one or more of the following. I was wrong. You were right. Yes, dear. And I love you. Finally, never go to bed in the middle of an argument. Be a man, stay up and fight and watch some sport. You've lost anyway, so you might as well get it over with. I would like to leave you with this thought. A woman accepts a man for what he is and then spends the rest of her life trying to change him. So if we can all take one last look at Stephen as we because Michelle is remodelling him and the work starts tomorrow. Finally, if you will all be upstanding, I would like to raise a glass for the health and happiness of the bride and groom, Michelle and Stephen. Cheers. Cheers.
You can all make it here today. I'm over the moon that you could all make it here. It's made our day all that much more memorable. I'm so glad about that. we could have had it in summer, but it was winter, and Michelle's idea to wear the Santa hats. Well, it was all our idea to wear Santa hats. And it was half the price in winter as well. And before we crack on, I'd just like to say a few thank yous really. First, I'd like to thank Jane and Dave for hiring out for their home over the last couple of years to storage for all our stuff. And generally for being excellent people, and for letting me marry Michelle as well. I'd also like to thank my mum and dad for the last couple of years making our house a home, and using all their powers of persuasion to get Michelle to marry me. Jen's my sister. Sorry, yeah, but Jens, thanks for being the motivator for booking this place, and just for all your Jenniferness. Fantastic. Really admired all the support you've given us.
Remodeling.
Oh, yeah.
Finish your speech first.
Gladys has made the cake. It's a beautiful cake, by the way. Gladys is like an artist, obviously. And we're all looking forward to trying the cake later on. Thanks to the best men, obviously, for helping me get through it all today. And,
Might not be saying that.
Really, all I'm going to say, I should be leaving my thanks till later on. And finally, thanks Michelle. You look absolutely amazing. I can't describe how fantastic you look. I've never seen you look so amazing. I've never hoped to have met anybody so caring, loving and bossy. So let's see what the best men have got to say. Can I give some gifts out?
Santi, sit down.
Right then, I'll give one out of two at a time, maybe.
Do you want me to go?
I'll give that to you.
Yes, it's 90.
Oh, and I didn't say thanks. I missed that bit out because I fumbled, man. But the bridesmaids look awesome as well. Excellent job. This speech is just backpedaling. best possible way, Ben. I don't know what that is, mate. See what we have here. It's like Big Fan Christmas.
Stevie Christmas!
Yes. Yeah, hat. Pass that to Steve.
Throw him a hat.
There you go, all right.
What do you mean, throw him a hat? Where's the hat?
Unlucky!
You went down, good.
Excellent. Ben, it was like...
Merry Christmas, Jens.
That is my favourite.
Claire. This is... Yeah, these are for the bridesmaids, basically. I can't believe how much I've arsed this speech. Come on. My best man speech for Ben's wedding was a lot more impressive.
Did you into that?
Was it?
I'm going horrible. Drink it.
Flowers here. I'll give these first to Dave.
Oh, thank you. God, I'm I miss my mum
Ladies, I'm coming over there. Just got to stick your hand up.
Let him find you. She's on the way to you. She's on the way to you.
Oh, you mean there's afterwards? Ooh, so yeah, absolutely magic.
Okay, is that you done?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's give your groom a huge round of applause. Now it's time for the comedy geniuses.
Yeah, no, he's coming to you, just coming up later. No, it's not bad, man. Mine's nice. Now, as everyone says, I'm not a massive public speaker, so luckily I have a couple of beers to try and calm my nerves. But I'm Stotty anyway, by the way. So if anyone who doesn't know me, they do know. I think everyone will agree with me and say what a beautiful ceremony we've had today, and following on from what Stevie said, how beautiful the bridesmaids look today. Only outdone by the woman herself, the bride. She looked absolutely stunning, and in Stevie's words today, as soon as she started walking down the aisle, he went, "Oh yeah." Now, I've known Stevie. We heard Stevie. Now, I've known Stevie for a long time. Even before we met at school, I'd heard of him. But growing up, we spent a lot of time together up at the playing fields in Boltley Sands playing a lot of football. Now, anyone that knows Stevie knows that football isn't really his forte. But like everything in life, he'll always give it his best. Where he really excelled, though, was at art and music. He used to lock himself away for hours in his bedroom playing his guitar. Now, I lived with Steve for a few years in Lancaster, and we were forever pulling pranks on each other. Well, one time we got in from a night out, a couple of beers, and for some reason there was a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. So Stevie picked up and was like, "Go on, I dare you." Worst thing he ever said. We went, alright, we thought a little bit of foam would come out, but no, it's pink powder just came in the kitchen. We were in hysterics, but the rest of the housemates weren't too pleased.
It's all a couple of you.
I remember one time when living in Dorton Road, and I was really hungry. I was wanting to cook something, so I was on my knees looking for something. And he's like, "What are you looking for?" I was like, "Just a pan." Next minute, anyway, mate. Well, that's just the type of guy Steve is. Now we went travelling together to Thailand. The only story I'm going to tell you of our travelling trips was probably the only one I can actually tell you. But yeah, we decided to take a Thai massage, world famous Thai massage. We walked into a room. There standing was a petite Thai lady, and next to her what I can only describe as a female Russian wrestler. So being the good mate that I am, I chose a small lady to be with. I really enjoyed mine, but all I heard from Stevie's corner was whimpering. Oh, it's fantastic. In all honesty though, Steve is such a kind lad. Anyone that knows him, he's so kind, so considerate, and he'll never think twice about helping somebody out where he can. The thing I love most about Steve is that he's such a funny bugger. He's had me in stitches for years. But the best thing about it, he doesn't know how funny he is. a space. That's it, yeah. This is one, right. Now, I was shocked when I first heard about Stevie and Shell getting together. Not for the fact that Shell's a few years younger, nor the fact that Steve's sister's best mate. It was more the fact that, how can I put it, Steve was never really much of a ladies' man. So I was beginning to naturally think that maybe he was considering buying for the other side. But clearly he was waiting for the perfect woman. As we know, children speak from the heart, and I found a couple of words of wisdom on the internet. Now, this is for, how do you decide who to marry? This is from Kirsten, age 10. No person really decides before they grow up who they're going to marry. God decides it all the way beforehand, and you get to find out later who you're stuck with. So, Shell, I can only apologise. How can a stranger tell if two people are married? Now, this is Derek, aged 8. You might have to guess, based on whether they seem to be yelling at the same kid. And the last one, how would you make marriage work? Tell your wife that she looks pretty, even if she looks like a chuck. That's from Ricky, age 10. Now, in all honesty, I don't really know Shell that well, but I really look forward to getting to know her much better over the years to come. What I do know is how happy she's made my mate. So, you know, I wish nothing more than a lifetime of happiness, and may all your dreams come true. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please raise your glasses and join me in a toast to Stevie and Shell. Thank you very much.
Now the good cop has finished. Okay, right. I've known Steve since we were at, well, primary school, really, I think it was. The first memory I have of Steve is probably from around about that time. Now, Steve's a bit younger than me, but it was well known that Steve was the one kid in the year below that was not to be messed with. The first time I probably met Steve outside of school was when he'd taken exception to one of his computer's joysticks, which somehow mistreated him, and he was being swung around his head like a lasso. And it's fair to say that when he hit the floor, it paid for his mistake. Yeah, Steve's definitely always had the warrior at heart, working his way up through the gradings of jiu-jitsu as a teenager. And with the black belt firmly in his sights, the young student met his greatest foe today, alcohol. Now, dedication to a martial art leaves little room for distraction. So the early days of drinking, we usually met with a trip to the bathroom before I lie down, which always provided us with great amusement. Perhaps none more so than when we were babysitting for Joe's younger cousins.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. As the night went on, conversation soon moved on to Stevie's latest black belt grading, and egged on by ourselves and probably to do with a belly full of wine and cider, we moved outside to witness Stevie's latest move, which was the spinning kick. Now, by the time we'd all finished crying with laughter, we thought it was only fair to give Steve a helping hand out the bush he'd landed. Anyway, so yeah, nights out in Lancaster soon followed. I wish I could tell you some of the tales about what happened then, but it's probably best that I don't. Next spinning kick will probably be aimed in my direction, so I'll sort of move on. But one thing I will say is how Helen and Alan put up with half the sugar house in Steve's bedroom. Yeah. I'll never know. Anyway, so somewhere around this time, late nights.
Oh yeah.
I should have put some thanks in for that.
Somewhere around this time, we decided, well, probably because of that, it was time to move out and find our own house to rent in Lancaster. So this provided us with even more access to Lancaster's pubs and clubs. And on his 20th birthday, I think the occasion finally got the better of Steve. After being plied with all sorts of unspeakably horrible shots and shooters, Steve decided enough was enough and it was time to walk home. Now, the nightclub we were in had crowd control barriers down the pavement, so luckily the traffic wasn't a problem, but the barriers were. So we happened to look out the window and we saw Steve bouncing from the barriers to the wall, grasping helplessly at anything he could stand up with. Well, he wasn't making a good job of it really, so shortly afterwards he was given, kindly, sorry I should say, given a ride home by the local constabulary by the station, despite the fact that he kept shouting, "My mum works for the Citizens Advisory." How good have your jobs? That's what he said. Anyway, probably.
You can't do this to me!
Regret, remorse, man.
The overriding memory, however, that I ever stayed during this time was when we lived in probably the most picturesque part of Lancaster, Hayley. For anyone who hasn't been there, it looks like a war zone and makes the West End of Morecambe look beautiful. Anyway, during yet another night in our almost daily drinking spot, we turned round to discover Steve had vanished for home. Now, I don't know if it was based on what I was saying earlier, his previous attempts of trying to get home by himself, or that we realised he didn't have a door key. We thought it was best to go and look for him. So we got home to find the house all quiet, with no signs of life or forced entry. Or so we thought. So we locked the front door, went to the kitchen, and the back door was intact, apart from just a tiny little small pane of glass on the back door that he'd smashed. Well, we thought he'd smashed through and undone the chub lock to get himself in. So now, cursing Steve, we went into the front room and sit down and decide what we were going to do about the back door. Sorry. Anyway, I went back into the kitchen and there was a door into a nearby bedroom that was slightly ajar, and what can only be described as like a force 10 gale blowing through this door. Anyway, I opened the door to find a scene of total devastation. What used to be a big double glazed pane windows, no more. There was glass absolutely everywhere. And nicely positioned in the middle of the room was this great big boulder. Anyway, so I'm confronting a very remorseful Mr. Greatorex next day. Turned out that he had, in a desperate attempt to get into his bed, picked up the boulder in the back garden and hurled it through the downstairs window. He then, however, decided it was far too dangerous to climb into the and smashed a far smaller, far cheaper glass in the back door and walked in.
Really make a burglar like that. Good thing.
Anyway, that's about it from me, but I will just say one last thing. When I got married and Steve took his opportunity to tell some funny but very untrue tales about me, I remember thinking, I wish I could get up there and tell my version of those events. So, in the interest of fair play, I think it's only right that we hear from the groom himself, Mr. Stephen Greatorex. I'd like to just say, everything you've just heard is complete lies. I definitely don't play computer games. And I don't walk home by myself. And as for my running with the constabulary, it was a one-off, and they said it was a case of mistaken identity. Because I look a little bit like Phil Mitchell. I know me and Stotty are the best men today, but as far as I'm concerned, there's only one best man in the room, and he's just got married, and I hope you're both very happy. Stay safe. Thank you.
So, Benjamin.
I'm sure you'll all agree they were fantastic speeches. You've all done very well. In fact, you weren't far off comedy genius. So So ladies and gentlemen, when you have finished, could I ask you to gently move through into the lounge area just so that we can prepare the room for a discotheque environment. And we'll see you all later. Thank you.
Thank you. So nice.
Oh.